What is up? It's Hobbyist First. It's been another year. Let's take a look at a new collection of models by Gearguts Mech Shop. So for those of you unaware, Gearguts Mech Shop is a 3D design and 3D print company that offers alternative sculpts to many Warhammer 40k Ork models. There's also a line of Crusader models that represent Space Marine proxies, and he's got lots of other stuff that is great for collectors or for players of 40k and other miniature games. As a Blood Axe player, collector, and kit basher of Ork things, I found the Gearguts collection to be an awesome alternative to having a lot of repeat sculpts in my army. I do have a very large Games Workshop collection, but I've been drawn to Gearguts for a couple years, and I'm fortunate enough to be an affiliate of Gearguts for a little over a year. Let's take a look at what I've been working on in the last year. These are Brained Bruisers. These models came out as a set of 4 what appear to be like zombie orcs, and they came out this Orktober, so kind of for Halloween. And you notice that they have their brains or heads cut down and these like pans on there. And notice also that the skin tones on these guys are, zoom in here, the skin tones on these guys are quite different from my standard Ork skin tone. I went with a very pallid, washed out flesh, and there's some stitching together of body parts. Here's a guy with his hands out. There's another one. It's actually 2 different skin tones to represent the arms being stitched together by different bodies. So some light and some more grayish arms. And this one here has a type of weapon stump prosthetic thing on there. It's like they were in the middle of giving him a cybernetic arm, and he just ended up with a knob there. And these models come as a set of 4 of these boys, and they come with this Grot controller. And I love the Gearguts Goblin, Gretchen, Grot sculpts. I think they're really great, fit in with the Games Workshop aesthetic. He's got a green stop and go button there on his controller, and he's there leading these guys around. On the topic of Grots and Gretchen, this is a guy with a big Shuda. He runs alongside my mega armored warboss and counts as the big Shuda for him, but he's part of the Blood Axe-y aesthetic Goblin or Gretchen that Gearguts has produced. He was part of a set that had a lot of like military style weapons. I used this guy here as an Ork Knob with WA banner. The model did not originally come with this banner. This is an old metal bit that I found in my bits box. But when the Blood Axe supplement came out that had the straight Shuda relic gun, I was looking for a model to represent that. And this guy's really awesome with his like night vision goggles and lots of armor panels for that great Blood Axe camo. He's standing on some kind of like dinosaur skull, or it's a squigosaur skull. As Gearguts has a lot of squiggy type things in the collection. And we've got some mono-wheel bikes, and these bikes are older sculpts from the Gearguts line, older than these over here. There's a unit of 3 of them, armed with their DACA guns. Used ambush camo that's common on a lot of my Blood Axe orcs. And I got this like camera lens here. You see the guy's driving and he's looking at a screen. There's one of those. Here's another one with a closed helmet. And you see I have different camo patterns on them. third one is here. See the same screen design in there. My orc flesh recipe involves some Warboss green, some Scarsnick green, and Army Painter Alien Purple on the elbows and in the cracks of the armor, because orcs are aliens, and to me they should have some kind of exotic skin tones to them. And yeah, these are very, very easy and quick to paint up, and put them on some wood bases there. Got a couple def dreads that I made in the last year. This one is armed with all rockets. So we got rockets on the hands, and there's some underslung rockets here. For contrast, I painted the head on this mech to be red. You see it's chipped and weathered, and this model's base color is Vallejo German field gray, and then I did chipping with Rhinox hide and a sponge, and then went and picked out some of the edges with I think lead belcher or one of the gunmetal colors. And you see red is for accents and things like the skulls, and most of my orc models have blood axe crossed axes symbol over a cream background. This is one of the newer Def Dread sculpts. This is also on a wheel, and it's got like these ape hands that I guess you can balance with. I modeled one to be out, kind of like grabbing, and the fingers are all posable on these. You can see I painted the guns to look like kind of like a fusion blaster, like an energy glow to them. Either use them as custom Mega Blasters or use them as Scorches. So I could field it as either or. So it could be 2 guns and 2 claws would be the loadout for this, whereas this dread here would be 4 rockets. Like, there's nothing subtle about what that's doing. It's just going to hang back and shoot. Not the most optimal build for orc dreads, but I field my dreads in mobs of 3, and I use the redeploy shenanigans of blood axes, so I get a lot of mileage out of 3 dreads popping up on the flank. There's the blood axe logo on the shoulders. This one's done with with a desert camo. This is Steel Legion drab with, I think, Mornfang brown. There's pretty subtle shade or subtle difference in the tone, but just enough to break up that brown. I went in here with the similar chipping with Rhinox hide brown with a sponge, and then use a brush to pick out those little silver chips just to bring out those edges. And the eye was done with white and Nihilak oxide washed over it, just to and it kind of recedes away from that central lens to give it the effect that it is glowing, and from table distance that adds a really nice pop of color on the model that is rather drab with all the dirtiness and the browns. Here's a truck. This truck was a gift from Gearguts himself last October, so October 2021, but I didn't get to painting it until this last year. This is painted in a style of Bracta Warboss. On his channel, he did a tutorial on how to paint Blood Axe camo on a truck. I copied this, almost exact color copy. My truck's mounted on a base because I use all kit bash trucks, and I use this base to standardize their footprint. Obviously, you can't fit a ton of 32 millimeter bases on this truck, but the overall effect across the army is, it on its base is similar in size to the other ones. I've got 4 wheels up front and some tracks, big shooter here, red insignia, glowing lights, and blood axe symbols on the back. Last model I'm going to show you is the newest Gearguts model. This is Gearguts Mark IV. There. Gearguts Mark IV. Gearguts has been releasing a new sculpt each Orktober to represent himself as a massive beast of a war boss. And this year I challenged myself, much like I emulated content creator Brak the Warboss, who was a friend of mine in the Ork community. This is Mr. Fish camo. Mr. Fish is another content creator who recently released a massive video of his purple armored orcs. So this is a tribute to Mr. Fish and his Blood Axe purple orcs. Tried to model after his camo scheme of dark purple. There appear to be some magenta and some black and white spots. And Blood Axe in purple works great because they're sneaky. And I'll zoom in here and show you the work on the armor. Got some power plants in the back, yellow lightning. I used a scale 75 Victorian brass for the hoses. This is the first time for me using anything by this brand, and I purchased this specifically for these cables as a way to try out their product in metallics, and I'm pleased with how that worked out. The rest of it is pretty much Games Workshop color, with the exception of the Crimson Fist blue. I am using Imperial blue by what is this? Game color. Who the heck makes this? Oh, it's a Vallejo game color though. I'm used to using a lot of Vallejo model color, and I was like, what the heck is that logo? So yeah, Vallejo game color. And I have a Crimson Fist army, and my Blood Axes are often shown stomping out Crimson Fists, and in this case we're stomping out Dread underfoot here, and it's damaged and chipped up, like it's been kicked and rolled over a little bit, like it's not recently dead. And then this is a Crimson Fist being jacked up by this beast. Focusing great. So here's a final shot of him. See more of that skin with the couple greens that I use and that purple. Got some lights, glowing effect on those. Did like some blood effect around the different sockets and connectors where the hoses go into the body. There's quite a few skulls on here. Get you a good look of the camo pattern up top. And you can see that Crimson Fist getting jacked up there. There's a big gun here. See a little bit of the orc flesh through the fingers. So there's almost like a gloved hand here that's just grabbing this guy by his face. Just finished painting this model tonight, so over the next couple days I'll look back over it quite a bit, and I may pick out a few things that were missed, but for now it's good enough. Probably about 15 hours in this. I'll get some pictures taken of it soon, get it up on TikTok and Instagram so that people can see it a little better than the video. I don't feel like it's focusing great. I'll put him next to last year's Gearguts and compare the two of them. It's a little bit higher up with the guy held up in the air, but very similar in the stature of them. This model feels more substantial, feels heavier. I think that their process and their printing process with drain holes and hollowing out parts has just gotten better, and the detail of a lot of the rivets and stuff on this model, while as this one on the right, the Gearguts Mark III, is excellent, and I am very, very, very into it. I just couldn't believe how far Gearguts has advanced as a sculptor just in the last year. I mean, the fact that he's creating Space Marine sculpts and doing a lot more great organic work with orc flesh and skin and more dynamic poses. And the parts are just printed higher quality. I mean, just it's awesome time to be alive and to see how the 3D printing hobby is evolving. So thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you're not a subscriber, please click the subscribe button. I've got some goals for my channel, and it doesn't cost you anything to support me in that way and get alerts for videos that I put out, maybe one a month. It's very helpful to me for you to do that. If you have any questions about Gearguts models, please throw a comment, or you can interact with me through my other channels. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok and many Ork Facebook groups as well. I do work as a commission painter, so I can help you out with those things. As a Gearguts affiliate, if you look in the description for this video, there will be a link for discounts on Gearguts. There's a discount all year, but seasonally there are some really great discounts. But there's a discount at any time if you use my link for Gearguts, either STL files, if you have the capability of doing your own prints, or if you are interested in purchasing 3D printed models and you're not ready to dive into resin printing. So thank you so much for watching. Take care.